Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Frantic Talks podcast. I am your host, Frantic, along with my lovely, as always, co-host,
Grunt. Hello.
and we are here to talk about video games
And junk.
and junk. All right, before we get started, let's just remind you where you can find us. You can find us, as always, on Twitter. I'm at FranticJ3. Wrong way. He is at Onyx Spartan, Onyx Spartan, as it's usually spelled. You can also find us at Frantic_Talks. That is the official Frantic Talks Twitter account where we will post all of our different, podcasts and articles and all kinds of fun stuff. Sometimes news. It just depends on what we feel like tweeting that day. You can catch this podcast live every Saturday. Twitch.tv/FranticJ3 the third. That is FranticJ3, the number. THE, the number 3, RD. Some bastard took FranticJ3.
There we go.
But we could just get Frantic Talks. I feel like that's a real thing.
We should. We should, actually.
We should go for that. It'd be much easier. Anyways, Facebook.com/Frantic Talks, all one word. We will post the articles and podcasts there normally. It's not nearly as active as Twitter and stuff, though, because those are just easier to use. And then the mothership, FranticTalks.com. If you want to read more of our articles, hear more of our podcasts, you can do that there. Magic.FranticTalks.com, where you can see all kinds of fun Magic the Gathering related things. And I think I got everything. iTunes, search for Frantic Talks. Will be the only one there. Or you can go to the Frantic Talks website, click on a podcast, and there should be a little button that says go to iTunes. And then YouTube, of course, which I am not ever going to try and memorize that. That is going to be a cold day in hell when that happens.
One day.
It's not going to happen. Just not going to happen. YouTube, you just search for Frantic Talks, or you can go to each podcast, find the video, and go subscribe. We need 100 subscribers, and I can give you an actual link, so... Okay.
Which should probably just be like youtube.com/Frantic Talks. So.
Yeah, it's probably going to end up being that. Alright, so anyways. How'd your week go, Grunt?
Pretty good, actually.
Or I guess 2 weeks, because we weren't here last week.
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. Not being able to see clearly for part of a day. Eye exam. So.
Dilating the eyes.
That wasn't so bad. Other than the fact that the whole reason I went in there, they gave me an eye exam, and I was supposed to have a diabetic eye exam. Mm-hmm. They didn't do that until they basically just gave me a basic eye exam, and then, oh, you can go. That's it. Wait.
Really?
Not why I'm here. It's not why I'm here. So at one point, you'll see me wearing glasses.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
That's exciting. It's just like me. We could be twins. Ooh.
Right? I feel like we've had this conversation before.
We might have.
The funny thing is the one pair of frames I looked at looked identical to the set you're currently wearing. So,
if anybody's curious, you want to look just like Frantic,
right?
You can get these glasses.
See?
Those listening to the audio, they're just half frames. Nothing special.
So that's why, partially, in reason why there wasn't a podcast last week, because I was... As I tweeted, the light hurt my eyes, I'm partially a vampire. Sounds way better than I can't see because my eyes were dilated.
Yeah, that does sound a little better.
Other than that, the actual week, I've been playing a lot of Destiny lately, game-wise.
Mm-hmm.
On the weekends, it's been Borderlands 2 normally, which might have something to do with our topic at hand later, I don't know.
It might. We'll find out, because that was super awesome. We'll just get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. It's been fairly simple. Earlier in the week, actually, I will mention this. It's kind of gaming nostalgia for myself. I found my old Game Boy Advance in my closet.
I honestly just found mine when I moved. I mean, I knew I had it. I haven't booted it up yet, but the Game Boy Advance SP is the one I have. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah, the one game I had was Madden 2003, and there was a Spider-Man game and a Incredible Hulk game, so...
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've even used that thing, so... It doesn't have batteries in it, so the batteries didn't leak. I'm glad about that. It probably still would work, I would hope.
Right. I would hope so, too.
Yeah, that's pretty much how my week has been. Very simple and straightforward. How was yours?
I'm trying to think of what I did the week before the last week, only because I know everything I did this past week. I feel like the week before was different. Like this past week, I've just been kind of chilling here playing Battlefront, which I guess I'll get into that in a minute. But before that, I played a little bit of Battlefield 1, the beta, which I didn't mind, but it definitely had issues. And I mean, we can talk a little bit more about that if you want. But essentially,
Played a few games
uh,
of it too, so yeah, we can.
yeah, we can talk about that here. We'll do that first, honestly, because the first note I have to talk about something related to that. So,
Don't mind
uh,
you just getting mail thrown at me.
you're good. um, so
Pay
yeah,
no mind to anything you see moving in the background.
I did decide to turn myself into a meme last week. Uh,
God.
it was so funny. If you follow me on Twitter, you would have seen this. I only uploaded one picture to Twitter. I uploaded a bunch to Facebook. So I might roll them out on Twitter here soon. But essentially, the backstory is the place I work at, we had to get professional headshots done. And our videographer, the guy's going to take the pictures, needed me to just test like the lighting and different background colors, see which color he liked the most. Because he didn't really want to go to corporate blue, which we ended up doing anyways. But it was like, do we want to do a different color background? And instead of just standing there and taking pictures, I decided I could be funny and just make random poses. So if you look at my Twitter profile picture, that kind of sums it up. But there are a lot of other funny ones where I'm not wearing a red polo and I'm instead wearing a Pokemon shirt.
Oh yes.
Um, if you find me on Reddit, which I mean I'm just Frantic J3 on Reddit, you can find a couple of posts I made. But easily my profile picture and a couple others are just too good to not pass up. But essentially, it was just a bunch of really fucking funny pictures. And if you're listening and you don't want to, if you can't find me on Twitter or anything like that for some reason, basically, I had a coffee mug and I did a last pour York with the coffee mug. I tried to give it as a product and sell it to you, and uh, couple of points, I got this thing called a tacket, which is how you can like put tags on stuff. It looks like a little really small like glue gun, but it's got these tags sticking out of it, and I used it like James Bond in a picture. Oh, it was so funny.
I like that. I admit when you changed your Twitter profile picture at first, I was very confused because I was so used to your other one,
Oh yeah.
and I'm
I
like,
get you.
wait a minute, is this the real person? Oh yeah, he just changed his picture. Okay.
He's just an idiot. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that thought never crossed my mind, but
Oh, of course it didn't. Beyond that, just like I said, Battlefield 1 and Battlefront. So dice games, really. Not your tabletop dice games. EA dice,
I have dice somewhere
to be specific. You do.
behind me, actually.
Well, let's use that to segue into the next piece.
Boom. Segue.
If you didn't notice, I found this out through a friend and was like, "Holy crap!" I think you have to have gold, but Xbox Live is selling Battlefield 4 for $4 in some odd cents, which is insane. It's like 87% off or some stupid number like that.
It's
Um,
probably their deals with gold. I bet.
yeah, I think it also has to do with the Battlefield 1 weekend, and they're just trying to like promote the games in general. You can get it with Hardline and another one for like $45 total, but the Battlefield 4, a lot of people still play it, and it's like $4. Keep in
It's a good
mind,
deal.
digitally, it's 40 gigs, so if you don't have that much room on your Xbox, you'll have to make room for it, which I've had to do. But that is a thing. I should probably just buy an external terabyte, like external hard drive of like 3 terabytes, and just plug it into my Xbox. That's what one of my friends does. He has a 4 terabyte hard drive. He just has plugged into his Xbox at all times. I'm just really worried about playing games off of it because of USB 3.0 speeds. Like I don't know how well it would transfer the data to play it, but
Um, the one I'm using right now works fine. So,
okay.
I don't
I
have
might give that
I
a
don't have
try.
any problems. After a while of inactivity, if you like pause a game
Hmm.
and walk away for like 20 minutes, the hard drive itself that I have at least will just turn off, so it's not
Oh,
doing whatever.
that's interesting.
Um, but the minute you go to pick the game back up, it kicks back up and basically works perfectly after that. So it's just you have
Mm.
to wait for the console to tell the hard drive, "Hey, he wants to play again." At least I'm
That's really
assuming
weird.
that's what it says. It probably is way more
Yeah, it just says
complicated.
it in zeros and ones.
Yeah, but it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, okay. Well, then I think I'm gonna do that, but gotta save up for that because I'm
Uh,
wanting to buy other things. So so
well,
annoying. Money.
I'm looking at the box for my other ones, but it's for my hard drive, but it's upside down and I can't read it that well.
Well, I have a 2 terabyte
Frantic
hard drive
Grunt.
I was using on my laptop from like 3 or 4 years ago that had like all my Steam games on it because my laptop only had so much space. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually the exact same situation. It was a 500 gig laptop, and I had too many games for the laptop. Granted, it was like
Starter
300.
games.
was like 300 games on Steam versus 5 on the Xbox, but
Halo 5 with its most recent update is like 90,
87. Yeah.
91
Oh
gig
yeah, it got even
actually.
bigger. hmm Yeah.
So
Between Halo and Halo 5 and the Master Chief Collection, I usually have almost 50% of my hard drive used,
yeah,
which is stupid.
yeah. And then
But
like Destiny just added 12 gig to its size with its update for Rise of
sorry,
Iron.
that's what I meant. Destiny plus the 2 Halo games I have, easily half my hard drives are gone. Throw on Battlefront, which had a 20 gig update when I tried to play it for the first time last week. Oh my god. So let's talk about Battlefront.
Yeah, how is that? Back to us.
Honestly, so if you've listened to the podcast before, you might know that I was very, I don't want to say against Battlefront, but I was very upset with it
You were
because,
disappointed.
yeah, disappointed is the best way to put it. Because I just didn't enjoy what I was given. It was not very much for the price tag we paid. 20 gig update later, I enjoy it. I'm actually having fun playing it, and I think it's what the game should have been when it was released. There's a little bit of DLC that you can get, which is like Bespin and I think Jabba's hut or something like that. They've introduced a few cool things like Jabba contracts or hut contracts, so you can do like bounty hunter related stuff, which is essentially just do certain things in game. They have daily challenges now, a couple more game modes. When you pick your hero, you don't just get a hero. You don't just get shoved into a hero role. You get to pick the hero you're going to be when you play. That might have been there in the beginning because I never actually got to be a hero. I still haven't. But anyways, a bunch of different new weapons and cool new suits or skins for your characters, higher level cap. It's all just better now, and this is all with free updates. Kind of like how Halo 5's doing it, where they give you the game and then they keep giving you more content as they go. It
Right.
seems like they gave us the game and then said, "Hang on, it's not done. Here's the rest of it." So it's almost like I got an early access pass to it, but didn't know I did, and that's what upset me.
Hmm.
But
Interesting.
overall, I like it. It's got the offline game modes now, so when me and my lady friend decide to hang out and we want to play Star Wars, we can just kind of trade off against like normal or hard mode bots, which has actually been really fun. Which is what Battlefront was before online was ever a thing. So it's kind of nostalgic in its own sense. Uh, but holy crap, you put them on the easiest difficulty, they are awful. You put them on the next difficulty up, and they are just impossible to kill. It is ridiculous.
So difficult. Scaling of difficulty isn't.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but I mean, to be fair, when I put it on the easiest difficulty, I get 100 plus kills and don't die. When I put it on the next highest difficulty, I die like 10 times and get like 70 kills. So I can't complain honestly because I'm still apparently good at it, but it is a significant leap in difficulty. Because you can essentially stand in front of them on the easiest difficulty, and it takes them about 10 seconds to shoot and kill you. Versus the other one, if you stand there, they'll get you. So, you
Easy
know,
solution. Get better.
yeah, just get better. Come on, guys.
I'm only kidding. Or am I?
So I would recommend it. If you have it and haven't played it since it came out, or maybe a week or two after it came out, get the download of 20 gigs out of the way and give it another go. It match makes super fast. Like I literally click on a game mode and I'm in a game already. It takes a bit to load into it, but finding the match is instantaneous. It's actually really ridiculous how fast it is.
Yeah,
Um,
that was the way it was during the couple games I played of the Battlefield 1 beta too. It's like went to search through Conquest and I
Immediately found one.
clicked the button and was in a game.
Yeah.
So
It's just I've noticed that with Battlefront, it takes a while to load in and between games. When you in between games, what really bugs me is when you have the option to leave the game or just stay in the same lobby and it'll boot up the next game. If you want to leave, you have to hold B, and then it's just like leave the game. You hold B and it fills up the circle, and then you leave. But the thing is, it'll just say leaving for easily a minute, and then you finally get backed out. Instead, you could just honestly close the app and restart it faster than you would back out of the game, which is
okay.
not good in my
Yeah,
mind.
no. Halo 5 has been doing that to me a lot lately too when I've been playing it, and I want to back out to a
hmm
menu because someone in my fire team or party whatever leaves or needs to do something, and it's like, all right, I'll back us out
hmm
eventually.
Right, we'll get there eventually, guys. Don't worry. All right. So let's move on to some other stuff here. Let's talk about the Destiny patch and anything else related to that first.
All right,
Um,
first, before we move on to that, do we want to talk about Battlefield 1 briefly?
yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna leave Bungie up in the background, but we're gonna talk about Battlefield 1 real quick
I'm pretty sure we can cover this in
in like 5 seconds. Yeah.
what? Yeah, I didn't get too much of a chance to play it because by the time it finished downloading, it was like only 2 days left, and no, 3 days left, and 2 of those 3 days I was busy. So
Yeah, I got to play I think 5 or 6 total games,
it's about twice as amount of I gotta play. So
and I got enough information from those games to tell you my personal opinion on it. Well, let's start. What did you think?
uh, honestly, I'm probably brutally for the developers if they ever hear of this. It's just like any old Battlefield game.
I agree with that.
Um, personally, we've been over this discussion before where it's time for these games to get back to the older eras, older war settings.
Hmm.
So I'm happy that it's taking place during World War One. I like that setting, but the multiplayer just is like, yep, that's a Battlefield game. I played something like this in Battlefield 4,
Yep, I
Battlefield
agree with
3.
that.
So,
I saw you tweet about like it's just a Battlefield game, but I'd be interested in the story mode. I almost tweeted back at you, a story mode and a first-person shooter. What is that?
I don't know, what
Like,
is it?
I don't even think there's a story mode. I think there is for Battlefield like 3 and 4 and stuff, but no one's ever talked about it.
It's
Nobody.
not. It's not that memorable.
Exactly.
The best um, shooter game, modern shooter game that I played that has had a really good story was also by EA. I don't know if it was done by Dice or not, but it was Medal of Honor Warfighter. That was amazing.
Mm,
I love that story from that game.
I don't think Medal of Honor was EA. I mean Dice.
I
I
don't know
don't
who
know
it
who did
was.
it.
I know it was published by EA, but that's about it that I know
I
for
could
certain.
probably Google it over here while no one's looking.
No one's looking. I'm looking. I'm watching.
What was it? Medal of Honor Warfighter.
Yeah.
Uh, EA Dice Los Angeles. So it was Dice,
Interesting.
just a different division.
Hmm.
It got awful reviews.
Yeah, it got awful
Super
reviews.
bad reviews.
Um,
Well
but
done.
I also the joke I make to everyone is I have the unpopular opinion when it comes to games. I enjoy games people absolutely hate.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. There are some games I enjoy that people absolutely hate too, so I
So yeah,
can't talk.
um, I'm interested in probably the story mode for it or campaign, whatever,
Hmm.
to see what it's like. I don't know if that would be enough for me to justify paying full price on it though, because really that's going to be it.
So you're
Because
paying for like a fourth of the game with how big the multiplayer is.
yeah, the multiplayer is just like any old Battlefield game, and like I
Hmm.
mentioned, if I want to play a multiplayer game, I'd probably just go play like Destiny, where I can actually do good at.
Yeah, I'm on the same place.
Armored Train is sweet.
Uh,
Never got to use
um,
it, but it's sweet.
yeah. So my thought on Battlefield One was I agree with what you're saying. How I had described it to anybody who asked because I actually have EA. Is it EA Access or EA Insider or whatever the subscription? It's not a subscription, but you can. I paid to get more maps essentially.
I think it's EA Insider.
Insider, that's right. I had that, so I got the beta a day early, or the beta if you're from Europe. I got that a day early, and got to play a couple rounds in it. And then the next day, people were asking me about it because they were getting DDoS'd. On the day the beta officially went live, they were getting direct denial of service attacks, so you couldn't play the game. And they were asking me what it was like, and I was like, honestly, it's just Battlefield with less attachments. Really, all it is.
Yeah.
That's how I described it. And my biggest complaint was the vehicles were way too hard to get rid of, and it pretty much. And I had this discussion with a friend who he was like, his story is really funny. He had the whole day off for the beta when it first went live, and he was like, "Yeah, I played Battlefield 1 for about 9 hours today." I was like, "Oh, awesome, dude! Yeah, that sounds pretty fun." And he goes, "Yeah, well, I got only 2 games in." 2 total games in that 9 hours. Jordan asked me why I only got 2 games in that total 9 hours. I'm just like, why'd you get 2 games in that 9 hours? Because they were getting DDoS, motherfucker. And he was just like so upset, and it was great.
Oh man.
Uh, but he and I agreed that the vehicles were way too hard to get rid of. Because the way you get rid of vehicles is with your anti-tank grenades, your mines, your dynamite, which is the equivalent of C4. Uh,
Right.
all of those things have in common is you have to be rather close to a tank to use them. And you want to know how hard it is to get close to a tank?
Pretty darn hard.
Pretty darn hard. I think I spawned in 3 or 4 times straight with an anti-tank grenade and hit a tank with each one I threw. Maybe got a 2 in because you spawn with 2 in the class I was using. It didn't blow up one single freaking tank. It hit him, but it dealt like a fourth of the damage at most. And if someone's like fixing it, there's no way to stop them. So that was my biggest complaint. There was no ranged things that I could see of. I think when you get later into the levels, there might have been something, but at first it was way too hard to kill the vehicles.
Right.
The horses were really cool.
Oh yeah,
that was kind of fun.
I flew one of the bomber planes I think they had in there, and those are pretty cool.
Yeah, I never got to fly the airplanes. I've never been a fan of vehicles in general. I honestly, when I play a first-person shooter, I am kind of anti-vehicle in general. I don't enjoy them in any sense. I enjoy just gun-to-gun combat, which is why I think I've always favored Call of Duty over something like Battlefield or Halo. I don't really play big team battle in Halo just because of the vehicles kind of get annoying to destroy. Battlefront, by the way, is the only one I've really been able to play with their vehicles because there aren't too many of them, and they're not the hardest to take care of. But every now and then I'm getting kind of annoyed by an ATST, and we'll have to go play 6v6 team deathmatch for a couple minutes to cool off. I've just never been a fan of vehicles in general, just because they're, I don't want to say overpowered, but they're kind of annoying when they can just mow down 10 people in a row if nobody even tries, or even if you have some resistance. Never been a fan of that.
Oh yeah.
So anyways, that's my thoughts. It seems like it's just like you said, another Battlefield game, just based in World War I. So.
Oh yeah, I'm glad that they're going back to the older times, but they need to do something a little bit more than just add horses to the game.
Right.
To make it
I agree with that.
Revolutionary.
I did punch a guy with a shovel. That was kind of fun. All right, anyways.
That's a good note to end on. Let's just move to the next segment.
Let's talk about what's in the screen now. The Bungie update. Mainly just stuff before Rise of Iron goes live here in about a week and a half, roughly. Yeah, 10 days from now.
Yep. Not that I'm counting or anything.
Well, you should do the math. It's the 10th of the day we're recording this, so you know.
Mm-hmm. I'm not counting down the days just in general until Rise of Iron either.
No, not at all.
No.
It's only $30 to pre-order, I noticed. That was loud.
Yeah. So I have to lower my blind so it doesn't look like I'm being I have this bright light next to me.
Oh, okay.
But I still have my window open, and it's kind of windy here today, so.
Oh, okay. I get you. It's supposed to be thunderstorming today. I think it might be. Anyways, let's get back on topic. There was a patch release for Bungie. Destiny.
You did it again.
I will never get that right. I never get it right. There was a Destiny patch released. Mainly, is that the one they introduced weapon tuning now, or are they waiting until Rise of Iron?
No, weapon tuning is out in the game currently.
Okay. And you can also get higher than level 335 light gear. I noticed that.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
Kind of, yes. There's a few things that are dropping higher than 335, but it's actually not having any effect on your light level. So, you may have something that's maybe like 338, but your overall character is still 335.
Oh, okay, I get you. So weapon tuning, I mean, we're not going to get into the crazy details or anything like that, but there was some, if you're interested, there was some weapons that they tuned, and pretty much the takeaway is the universal remote nerf, or at least these are the things I took away from it that I liked. The universal remote got nerfed by like a 75% range reduction, which is hilarious, but I feel like that needed to happen. And then there was one other thing. I don't like it, but the Thorn got nerfed a little more than it needed. I mean, it's already bad, so...
That's the only thing that I really don't like about the update, or the weapon tuning, is... With Rise of Iron, they're introducing a new artifact that is going to reduce the effect of damage over time. So, the Thorn's one ability is you get shot, and it does damage over time for a few seconds. So, depending on how that works, the Thorn's current damage over time is already the bare minimum that they can have it in a game without just completely removing it. And now it's also getting a range reduction, I think it was, by like 25% or something.
Yeah, it was getting a reduction in its range.
So, that's not so bad compared to what they could do, but I don't like it because, doggone it, they're ruining my favorite gun in the game. Seemingly. I haven't used it, so who knows, maybe it'll have something later on that they'll just put in there and like, yeah, hey, Thorn, yay.
Yeah, other than that, there was some tweaks. I mean, it's just all arbitrary at this point. I mean, like 6.25% here, 0.07% here, blah blah blah. So if you want to read into that, you can. It's just that was the main thing that happened is some tuning. Overall, it looks like it's fine. They didn't like change anything crazily beyond like the universal remote.
I've
So
played the Crucible in the past couple days since the patch went out, and people are using new weapons. You can tell, um, and that's normally the case whenever they release a weapon balancing patch. People start figuring out what's going to work for them. But I admit it's nice not getting killed by a universal remote every time.
hmm
So
last thing I want to say. Oh, what?
overall, I can't complain about it because I'm happy with most of the changes. I'm just interested to see what they're going to do with Thorn down the road
Mm,
since they're bringing it back. So
right, that'll be interesting. So the last thing I'm going to say, and we'll move on, is the Zur is here this week, and he has a bad juju. Go get it right now. Bad juju is amazing.
it is. It is actually, yes.
If you like PvE in any sense and want to be a fucking monster when it comes to it, go get the bad juju.
Yes.
That's all I want to say.
And if you're
All right.
listening, and if you're listening
Oops.
to this after the weekend, where's your bad juju? Shoot a ball.
Why didn't you get a bad juju? What are you doing?
Yeah. Or if you did, congratulations. You now have
Yes.
a good PvE weapon. So
You have my favorite weapon in the game.
nah, Thorn.
You're lame. Okay, next point.
Whoa,
um,
whoa.
this is literally just going to be a brief mention, nothing further. The Anvil's Legacy update was released for Halo 5, which is basically you can do Forge on the PC. I believe it's free. I think it's actually free.
I think
At least that's what I heard.
Forge on the PC is free. Yes.
Yeah,
You just have
so
to have the
can-
minimum system requirements to run it. So
Yeah, which is a
I honestly don't know what
DirectX
those
12.
are.
I can tell you, it's a DirectX 12 enabled graphics card, 8 gigs of RAM, and 40 gigabytes. Which is not too terrible. I have 16 gigs of RAM or something like that, but I only have a DirectX 11 graphics card, so I can't support it. But if you got like one of the new graphics cards that just came out, the 1080 or the 1070 or 980, you can easily run this thing like a monster. So, pretty sweet. I kind of want to get a new graphics card just to do this, but that's a long list of things I need to buy.
Yeah. Anvil's
So,
Legacy also added the file browser to the game itself. So
yes, that too.
we can
So,
now. I haven't actually looked at it because the game hasn't even updated on my console.
I mean,
Because they updated it the same day Destiny did, and I'm like, I want to update this 12 gig game, this 12 gig update over this 5 gig update. So
Yeah,
I haven't
gotta
checked it
update
out.
Destiny.
I don't know what it looks like. I'm hoping it's relatively easy to use and user friendly, as they say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I ever get a newer graphics card, I'll definitely get some stuff. So, other than that, let's move on to the biggest piece of news, and then we'll get into our topic that we were going to talk about today. The biggest piece of news is the PlayStation 4 Pro. So,
what are you doing, Sony?
what are you? Yeah, that's the real question. What are they doing? This is top on. Let's talk about before we get to the Pro. There was another story that broke from Bethesda that the Skyrim modding system and the Fallout 4 modding system that was going to let you put mods onto the PlayStation that like user submitted mods from PC. The work they were doing had to be halted because Sony wasn't going to let them do it. And there's no further. They do not know if they will ever be able to because Sony just said no. So it's put on hold indefinitely because of Sony. So that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Just in general, for more so just users not liking that. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, maybe there's a big security issue that we're unaware of, but in general, it's just a bad thing. Because everyone was looking forward to it. That was one of the big things they promised us. What was it, last year when Fallout 4 was revealed? Almost over a year ago?
Yeah, that was something they said that they would eventually add in was mod support to consoles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Now
been,
they just can't
it's been
do it.
a promised feature for quite a while now.
Yeah, I think they've been. I don't know how it is on the Xbox, if it's out yet or if it's almost there. But for PlayStation, it just isn't. It doesn't exist. It
We've
won't
had
exist.
it on the Xbox since May, I believe.
Yeah, I thought we had it. So
Yeah.
the work they were getting done for the PlayStation has just essentially been useless because Sony isn't going to let them do it. So that's bad.
Oh yeah.
But let's go to the PlayStation 4 Pro. So we knew about the Xbox One Scorpio or whatever it is, the Project Scorpio. that was going to be this 4K monster. That was going to be the craziest console you've ever played on. It's going to be for the ultimate gamers.
The most powerful system to date.
Yeah, exactly. As if every other system beforehand wasn't. But it's the most powerful console. And then everyone figured PlayStation was going to announce their own. Well, they finally did. It's called the PS4 Pro. I think the MSRP is actually only like $400, which is insane
Oh yeah.
that they can sell it for that cheap. But there's a couple of catches. You want to go over those, Grant?
Well, I think probably the biggest one that people are complaining about is the fact it doesn't have 4K Blu-ray support.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to me. They're going to be doing 4K. Game
It'll have
discs or Blu-ray discs.
it'll
They
have
can't do
4K and HDR gaming, which is great. But you know, there are some people that still buy those games on disc.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have a Blu-ray player, how can you play your Blu-ray disc?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest ones.
I actually don't know what the other one is, so surprise me.
Well, yeah, I gotta remember off the top of my head because honestly, I was reading through this article and I noticed it. Yeah, it's gonna launch at $400. It it's I think that was honestly the biggest thing. There might have been other little minor things. I think it doesn't come with something specifically. Honestly, I don't truly remember.
I do know that they're going to have 4K streaming services for like Netflix and Hulu, and people were raising a sting about that, but I don't know why. That sounds actually okay to me.
Mm.
So
I want to say it might have been the hard drive was the other thing. I don't remember how much space was in it. Let's see if I can find it really fast.
I would hope it'd be decent size to store games, you know.
Because the Xbox one's gonna be like a 4 terabyte or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Which is good. It needs to be that big, but I want to say it's honestly not that big of a.
If it's anything less than 2, I'd be very surprised, honestly.
1 terabyte, and it will not. If I'm reading this correctly, it does not have a 5 gigahertz band for its Wi-Fi.
Oh, so
I don't remember my specifications for IEEE standards, but I'm pretty sure it just says faster Wi-Fi. It does not say if it's going to have a 5 gigahertz band, which is another thing I hate about the PlayStation 4. So, look at that. 1 terabyte hard drive, which is going to be able to hold like 4 games, and then it can't do Blu-ray, like DVDs and stuff, even though game discs are already Blu-ray. And it's probably not going to have a 5 gigahertz band. So what? I realize that they're trying to keep the cost of this thing down to outsell the Xbox. I mean, $400 for a monster gaming machine is crazy.
Oh yeah.
But when it's missing some really key features, it's kind of a turnoff.
Yeah, and Microsoft definitely, when they found out that it wasn't going to come with a Blu-ray 4K Blu-ray player, they made short work of getting their PR department in on that.
Mm-hmm.
You were seeing advertisements that the Xbox One S has that already.
Yeah,
which
so
isn't
they're
even
usually to find the little holes that PS4's the Pro doesn't have, you know.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's interesting, and all of this is now coming off of just the other day that Microsoft came out and said that they were the top. Xbox One was the top selling console for the past 2 months now. So
they're surprisingly gaining momentum when it would seem like Sony's pulled all the fast ones on them, but
yeah,
it looks like tide might be shifting.
Yeah, I don't think.
It'll be interesting to see.
I don't think Sony is. I don't want to say they don't care, but with what they've been doing lately and saying, you know, it's really seeming like that. Mm-hmm. Because we've been the top selling console since our PS4 came out. Well, we've got it made. Well, you kind of have to keep going if you're going to announce more systems.
Which is really, I mean, I don't want to go on too long about this because we're getting a little crunch for time to talk about our main topic here. But it's just when the PlayStation 2 came out, if I'm not mistaken, they lost money every time they sold a PlayStation 2, but they were able to gain so much money because of the market share.
Right.
And that essentially is what they were doing with the PlayStation 4, it would seem. They're keeping the cost low because they know people don't want to spend crazy amounts of money on a console when they could probably just build their own PC for the same price at the rate at which Xbox One's going. So it's just very weird to see them kind of misfiring here.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah. I have to agree with that. Honestly,
so I think that's where I'll leave it. If you're good at that,
works for me.
once we hear more information, we can definitely talk again. All right, last piece. Just a really quick note. This is not related to video games. It's actually related to gaming. Magic the Gathering, the new set has been being spoiled. It's actually one of the most crazy sets I've ever seen. I'm super excited for all the new stuff coming out of it. It's called Kaladesh. It's a steampunk inspired set. The main character being Chandra, the girl who's on screen right now. And it's going to be insane. The pre-release weekend, which is the week before it comes out, you can go and play at a local game shop with a bunch of new cards, is the 24th and the 25th of September. And then the week after that, the set will release, so the very first week of August. So you can go to your local game shop, buy a booster box or booster packs, and go freaking nuts with these awesome cards. Because that's what I'm going to do.
I totally might do the same thing too.
Good. You should.
I probably will. I probably will end up getting some cards at some point because doggone it, Magic Duels has got me interested in it.
Yeah, if you want to learn Magic and have an Xbox One, I think they might have it on PlayStation as well. Magic Duels is a very good introduction to Magic. It is not true Magic. There's little small things about it, like if you play the story mode, there's little things about it. But it is a very good introduction to how Magic works, how to play, kind of how to build a deck, and how to play against people. So I would definitely recommend it. It is free, and you can play it as much as you want. I've actually played a couple rounds on it, just trying to see what it's like. I would absolutely recommend that if you are interested. So, it's pretty sweet.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, there's the thunder. I was wondering when the rain was going to start. Alright, so our topic on hand. This lovely symbol, the legendary symbol from Halo. This is actually the ODST legendary emblem, by the way. Pretty sure.
Yes.
So, not too long ago, Grunt had tweeted out about how him and his dad had made Borderlands 2 a little more interesting. And I will let him explain that here in a minute. But what I had done was taken that idea. I told him, we're going to talk about that on the next podcast. I had gone on to Facebook and said, and I will read the status out loud here. Fellow gamers, which is just, a bunch of my friends, how do you like to spice up your gameplay? And what I mean by this is if you're playing a game and you want to make it more interesting beyond just playing it as is out of the box, what do you like to do? And don't just say turning into a drinking game, because that's not original.
Yeah, well, there goes my idea.
Yeah. And this got a lot of responses. I got, I think when the comment count was done, it was over 30. So we have a lot to talk about with just how different people like to play the games, including the ways we enjoy it. So Grunt, tell them about how you guys have made Borderlands more interesting.
Well, the funny thing about this all started as a joke. We were sitting there one night playing through the Dragon's Keep DLC for Borderlands 2 again. For a brief rundown, is Dragon's Keep DLC is the last DLC for Borderlands 2, and it was themed around a Borderlands-inspired Dragons game. They called their version Bunkers and Badasses, but it's basically D&D.
And a quick side note, if you get class mods, you get different classes, which is amazing.
Yes.
You get to be like clerics and shit.
Yes.
Anyway.
Lawful Good Barbarian, I think, is one of the last class mods I picked up, and it was like boosting fire rate, and that's different. Don't get me started on that.
Oh my god. Anyways, go ahead.
So they have in certain areas in that you come across these chests that have 2 dice on them, 2 d20s.
Mm-hmm.
I sat there and I opened one, and I looked over at my dad, and I'm like, you know what would be cool? Is if we took and rolled our own d20s that we have, because him and I have started playing D&D with a few of our friends. You're one of them.
Haha.
Even though you abandoned us, jerk. I mean,
hey, I mean, we do it late at night, and I work in the morning, so there's not much I can do there.
Yeah. Because if you roll just one d20 on the chest, you can roll, 1 through 20, and get whatever loot is assigned to a certain numerical value that you roll. If you roll 2 d20s, you basically have 2 chances of rolling higher and getting better loot. I guess if you roll 2 d20s and they both hit 20, you get couple legendary items from it, so I have yet to experience that.
Mm.
But that's what I've heard from a few friends. Um, so him and I are saving our iridium, which is another currency that they use in the game to buy upgrades. You know, like increase your ammo
Hmm.
capacity, other stuff.
Backpack SDUs. Although I think they just
Backpack.
give you those, but yeah.
No, those you actually do have to buy.
Okay.
Because that's what I'm saving up for. Is one of the final upgrades for that. I have a hoarding problem with weapons and games. So instead of deciding, you know, do we want to spend the 5 pieces of iridium and roll the 2 dice, or just, you know, save it and spend no iridium and roll the dice, I'm like, hey, it would be cool if we take our d20s and we roll to see if we roll the other dice, the virtual dice.
Hmm.
Um, and do we spend our iridium or do we open one? You know, and I think our initial thing was if we roll an even number, we spend the 5 pieces of iridium and um, roll the 2 dice. If it's an odd number, you roll only the 1 piece. You know, odds and evens.
Hmm.
Um, which I don't actually know how that works in D&D, but I'll that again irrelevant.
Another topic. Yeah.
Um, so I'm like, oh well, you know, that'd be something cool to do. We didn't do it that night, um, but the next time we played it, we got our dice out, and that's how we opened those chests. And I'm like, huh, that's cool. You could expand on this a little bit more. And at that point, I'm like, I didn't know anything. So we were done playing for that night, and he's often referred to as Grunt Dad. He's my dad. He um, said we should roll for initiative to see who actually gets to open the chest. So I'm like, okay, I'm okay with this. And we've started doing that now. Whoever rolls the higher roll gets to open the chest, and then we call it evens and odds, and whatever it is how we open that chest.
That's pretty awesome.
And from there, later that day, I just brainstormed from there as to a different little way you could play the game if you had like a set of d20s or whatever. A few examples I thought of was, you know, if like a piece of legendary item drops from a creature that you kill,
Hmm.
instead of, you know, saying, oh, you found the last one, you get this one, or you found the last one, I get this one, or I found it first, or you pick it up, let's fight over it, you know, basically stuff that you can do in game or through honor rules. Do something similar. Roll for initiative. Who gets to pick it up, you know?
Hmm.
And then from there, I'm like, well, you could turn it into a little game too. If you have someone roll a 1, that's a critical fail in D&D, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you could have it to where the other person you're playing with, makes you drop something from your inventory.
Oh, wow.
If you roll like a 20, you get to pick it up, and I can't remember what the thing was I did there. I think it was basically just you get to pick it up, nothing happens. So it just went from there, and it's really, really interesting perspective on playing through the Borderlands 2 DLC that I've played through I don't know how many times. Just it's more fun because it's slightly different.
Hmm. So yeah, I think that's really awesome. Like I want to try that out at some point. Although I only have Borderlands 2 on my desktop, so I couldn't technically play with you. But so stuff like that is a way you can make a game more interesting. And I'll go over one of my own here in a couple minutes. But I kind of want to read off what some of my friends said. Because there's a lot of different, like, there was a decent amount of people who kind of kept commenting. Like, one of my friends just kept shouting things off the top of her head. It was really funny. I mean, they were all good ideas, but she just kept saying random things, which was really funny. So, oh, so my first comment is from a friend who I've watched. He can speed run Super Mario World, and he's very good at it. So he said self-imposed challenges. So like after Super Mario World became too easy, I tried it without a cape, which is how you can like fly through levels essentially. He said, then I tried it with no fire flower, then with no power-ups, then I removed Yoshi, and seeing what I could do with an unassisted, just small Mario. And he says, spoiler alert, Forest of Illusion 3 is the first impossible stage without one of those things. So he personally takes the game and cuts out elements that tend to make it easier. So I guess that would be like if you're playing Halo, like for Halo 2 essentially, a plasma pistol on Legendary is a good thing to have because you can immediately take down shields and then BR their head of an elite. If you really want to try it without that, be my guest, it's a lot harder, but that's kind of what he's saying. You know, taking things
Don't
out that are there to work. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. Just don't. Another friend said there's the Three Hearts challenge in Zelda. I don't actually know what that one is off the top of my head. I can Google it really fast. I've heard of it before. And then he also said Nuzlocke for Pokemon, which is one I've actually talked about
Oh
before.
yes, that's huge.
Three Hearts challenge is an optional challenge completed without obtaining or forming a heart container. So you start with 3 hearts and you never get any more.
Oh
So I
man.
guess that's a thing. No, the Nuzlocke challenge in Pokemon is one I've done many times. Essentially, your party, any Pokemon you catch, if their hit points hit 0, they're dead, quote unquote. So you can't use them again. So you store them in the PC, and then you can only catch the very first Pokemon you encounter from a different route. So you have a very limited supply of Pokemon, and you also lose them if they faint. So you really got to grind and train.
Isn't
There are other what?
isn't another thing that you can do for that challenge is they all have to be a unique name.
Yeah, you nickname them so you get more attached to them. So that way, when they die, you're really upset. Uh, there's also other things
Sorry,
you can do,
so
like you can say no buying anything from Pokemarts except Pokeballs. Only use items in combat unless it's like, I mean, yeah, you only use items in combat. So if you need to heal somebody and you have to be in combat, there's a lot of different ones you can add to it. Personally, I've done a very extreme one and I got like halfway through it and it was rough. Uh, Another person said, "This is just funny. You can act like you're Steve Irwin when you play the game." That just sounds hilarious. Uh, some this is the girl, by the way, that was just kind of randomly shouting things. Is how I'm putting it. A friend responded to her and said, "Well, do you add stingrays to the game?" And she said, "Yes, you do, because you can now prove yourself to be better than Steve by not stepping on them." That's kind of sad. He died 10 years ago, roughly. Actually, it's almost exactly 10 years ago. Uh, it was September 4th. People were sharing it. The only reason I know that. Then she
Man,
said you could launch yourself headfirst into the hardest difficulty of a game, which isn't really a unique way to play it, I don't say, but if you've never played a game and you jump in on the hardest difficulty, have fun with that. Uh, one of my really good friends, I'm trying not to use names, he says, I know this is more specific to the role-playing game genre, but I try to play the game through with multiple personas. So he's talking about Dungeons and Dragons, essentially playing a character who has multiple personality disorder.
hmm.
He just kind of adds that to most of his characters, and it's actually really funny when I play with him because at one point he was a character who had bunny slippers, who one part of his personality thought they were alive, and the other part hated shoes, and like it was just really funny.
That's actually really neat though.
So yeah, there's a and this is another more general one. If you're on PC, you can use Cheat Engine, which is a program that can cheat. But you can do it for the opposite of its intended purpose. So make ammo drops scarce, enemies spawn more frequent, etc. Essentially, Halo 2's or the Halo skulls. How they can like make your
Mm-hmm.
your famine skull, your bolt, your what's the black eye where you got to punch to get your shield.
Oh yes, Black Eye.
Another friend said you can play games and you're supposed to have friends on and don't, like Neverwinter on Xbox. So
Oh,
essentially, games that require friends, but you play without friends.
wow.
Another person mentions Nuzlocke, but there's also the single Pokemon challenge, so you play through the entire story with only one Pokemon. I've seen somebody do it with a level 100 Rattata. That shit's funny. um, Strat Roulette for CS:GO. I've heard of that one. I don't remember what it is. Wow, I totally spelled that wrong. Random Counter-Strike Global Offensive in-game leader. I think you just pick a purely random for fun strategy caller. That's a thing. That sounds amazing. You may only aim at legs when shooting. It
Oh
just
my god.
randomizes them. This is amazing.
Oh my god.
I want to use this. All right. Anyways, that's amazing. Oh my god. Um. Anyway, sorry. Um. So here's my comment. This was one thing I did back in the days of Modern Warfare 3 when I was really into Call of Duty and kind of annoyed with a lot of the little things about it, where I could tell you like this gun's too overpowered, this strategy is a bullshit strategy, etc., etc. I decided to stop taking it so seriously, and I did what was called Metal Gear Solid, but in Modern Warfare 3. So basically, take ninja defusing, and if you don't know what ninja defusing is, in Search and Destroy, there's a bomb that the one team plants and the other team tries to defuse, or you won't, and you only have one life per round. So essentially, you either kill everybody or defuse / blow up the bomb site. And ninja defusing is where you find somebody planting the bomb and then just wait behind them and then start immediately defusing it the moment they pick it up. Usually, how this works is you can hear when someone starts defusing the bomb if you have a good enough headset. Well, if you literally start defusing the moment they set the box down, the sound that plays when they drop the box will cover up the sound of you defusing the bomb. So you can essentially get away with it, and that's why it's called a ninja defuse, because you can't be heard. So I took this and thought that that meant I should be more of a ninja than just diffusing. And I would run around with a silenced USP, smoke grenades, and throwing knives. And I would not use any other guns. And I would get melee kills, throwing knife kills, and I would also get silenced pistols kills, and then ninja defuse. And one of my favorite things to do was to be in a ghillie suit, find some grass next to a bomb site, lay down, and cook a throwing knife. So the reason I would cook a throwing knife is because when you aren't prepping something, your character is constantly doing animations. So if you're laying down without moving on your screen, your character is still kind of like jittering a little bit, doing like little hand signals here and there in Call of Duty. If you cook a throwing knife, though, he just holds his arm up in place and does not move whatsoever. So the only way they will find you is with the auto aim assist, which is really annoying. That's why I hate auto aim assist, by the way, because it got me killed so many times. So I would just kind of hold this throwing knife and watch people run by me and either chase them down and knife them or wait for them to start playing the bomb. And it was easily the best time I'd ever had playing Call of Duty.
Oh my god, it sounds amazing. Just hearing you describe it sounds like something I would totally do.
It was so stupid. So yeah. I got some other stuff. Let's see here. Hide and go seek in Call of Duty. We did that. That was really fun. That was essentially how that got spawned. Our good friend Noplex, I'll say his name, he says playing it on tough difficulty is usually good enough for me. He might try to build up stats differently in Skyrim and Fallout. So that's another one. One of my good friends who didn't comment on this, he did this specifically, I know it. He built a character who was only pickpocket. And he got to the point where he could pickpocket someone's pants off them. That's really funny that you can do that. He was like, yeah, it's really weird when you can just pick somebody's pockets and literally just take the pants off them and they don't notice.
Oh my god, that is amazing.
Another thing is pickpocketing people and leaving a live frag grenade in their pocket. That's a thing you can do in Fallout.
Yup. I've actually done that a couple times. Whoops.
There's an achievement for it in one of the Fallouts. Here's the person that shouts random things again. If you have a choice between weapons or fists, use your fists. Man, that thunder is loud. Can you hear that?
I hear cars.
Oh, okay. So do fists instead of weapons. A friend of mine started a Fallout 4 game with a character named John Cena and maxed his strength out, and that was it. And ran around punching things. It was pretty great. It's really hard to fight a Deathclaw that way. Let's see. Self-imposed challenges, tvtropes.org. There's a whole website based on it. I could go on forever. You know, your 100% completion, a low-level run, no damage, no casualties, pacifist, solo character, speed runs, stealth runs, all kinds of different ones that you can do.
Yeah.
I think that kind of sums it up for the most part.
Our friend,
Hillary, huh?
Our friend Freak Show,
Yes.
he often, in one of the Final Fantasy games, I believe it was, and I'm probably going to do a horrible job at explaining this. But basically, your characters start at level 1, and by the time you're at the end of the game, you do something, and they're only level 3. So, you know, obviously you're supposed to be much higher than that, but the levels of your characters are basically only... You start at level 1, and they're basically just level 3 at the end of the game. So it's really difficult, I guess, from what he's explained it to me.
Yeah, I remember him talking to me about that. Or
Yeah.
at least telling us about it.
It has a fancy name for it, and I don't remember what it was. So, like I said, it's probably why I did a horrible job at explaining it, but it's basically the same thing.
Speaking of our professional podcast guest, Freak Show, he got us started on really dumb challenges in Destiny. Specifically, I didn't do this one, but I made you guys do it. HUD disabled PvP.
Never again.
That's really hard when you're doing objectives because you can't see the objectives. Shitty weapons and the Prison of Elders, lower level ones. So, like, Thorns, those were really fun.
Yep.
Skirmish, our president in the Secret Service is what this is.
That's probably the best one.
That's been my favorite one we've done. So in Skirmish, it's 3v3, and whenever someone dies, you can revive them, but if you don't revive them within 10 seconds, they respawn. The idea here is someone uses a sword hilt, or a sword if they have the heavy ammo for it in the game, and then the other two characters have to use sidearms. And the idea is the sword person is the president, and the other two are Secret Service, and they have to protect him. And if the president dies, you rotate, and someone else picks out a sword. I don't think we ever won a game doing this, but it was so much fun.
No. We came close one day.
We got very
close. I think you still hold the record of being the longest living president.
Yeah, I think I lasted for 6 or 7 minutes of the game. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, you almost lasted an entire game. And then we played it once with him and I and Grunt Dad, and he has been the second longest.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah, we got in one of the maps, and there's a corner that you can go back in, and it just kind of like there's a doorway there, and it can kind of throw people off if they're not paying attention to their motion tracker or smart enough to realize that you can go back around the corner and there's a set of boxes there you can hide on
Yeah.
top of. So
Yeah, that reminds me of hide and go seek in Call of Duty, where instead of playing the objective, we would just hide and then steal kills from people randomly, and then just hide back in our spots. And if people found us, we had to go find a new hiding spot.
oh my
God,
god,
it was so much fun.
that sounds amazing.
Couple more comments, and then we'll wrap it up here. I got well, one of these guys says there's too much. There's so many different ones in Left 4 Dead. In Halo Reach, instead of just assassinating people, we'd jump on their heads and teabag them first. Also, sometimes we play with our eyes closed. Every now and then, use melee. He does mention in like Left 4 Dead, like the community typically has agreements of when to do things, like when to use health packs, uh, not use throwable weapons ever, never use an automatic shotgun, random things like that. This is like community agreed upon things that are not rules at all in the game.
Right.
So that's not necessarily a challenge, but you know your best practices when it comes to playing different games.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
it's not something defined by the game rules. It's kind of like you know something different.
here's one if you have a wallet to spend money on. A wallet, that's not even a real thing. He says, my friend says, it all depends on the game. So give me a game and I can guarantee I have a solution. So I play Smite heavy on the Xbox One. One day, if you, me and a few friends wanted to spice things up, so we made a bet that whoever had the most kills on the team was owed $1 from everyone else. That was per game. That made it really crazy. That sounds super competitive. But that's the thing.
Definitely.
And then let's see, yell at people like you're Gordon Ramsay. This is my shouting friend again. Uh, if you play a support medic in any game, yell at your teammates like you're their mom.
Oh my god.
That's amazing. Take the phrase "work smart, not hard" and reverse it. Go about every object or quest in the most trivial and complicated way you can possibly imagine.
Oh please,
Uh,
I do that all the time.
Someone mentions mods, and then the last comment is Fallout 4. I made my character naked and only had a baseball bat, and I wanted to see how long I could last. He didn't say how long he lasted.
Oh, the follow up.
So I hope all of these have inspired you, and they've inspired me to try some new things in your games. I'm gonna do that strat roulette, and just I'll be right back. Uh, essentially, like I'm just gonna go do that right now. Uh, that's so good. Anyways, yeah. So I hope you are inspired to do some crazy stuff with this. If we didn't mention one that you've done, because I'm sure there are hundreds of them, I definitely want to hear your guys' suggestions. So with that being said, go to Twitter. I'm at FranticJ3. He's at Onyx Spartan, ONYX Spartan. Uh, Definitely shoot us your recommendations of stuff you've done that maybe we didn't mention, or if you liked one of the ones we mentioned and want to try it out. I'm sure we'd love to hop in a lobby with some of you guys and just go crazy. And speaking of hopping into a lobby with a bunch of you, we're probably going to make an Xbox One club for Frantic Talks. That way, we can all just game together. That'd be pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
In the future, because that's only for preview members right now. But anyways, so at FranticJ3, at Onyx Spartan, hit us up. Tell us your lovely, lovely stories of hilarious things you've done. You can also tweet at Frantic_Talks if you want to talk to the more official account and not know who you're talking to. Other
You'll
than that,
totally know who you're talking to.
yeah, it'll be easy to figure it out. Other than that, I think we're wrapping things up here. So head to franktalks.com if you want to see more of our stuff. You can find our podcasts, our articles, and the magic.franktalks.com. If you're really interested in magic and want to see some of the dumb crap me and my good friend Luke have come up with, you can go there and see some of that stupid stuff. It's pretty great. I also have Frantic Works podcast that is uploaded to our iTunes, but is also on the magic.franktalks website. Which I just actually returned. I got my final episode out of my top 10 series. I was doing 10 different types of cards. And I find this really funny, actually. This is spoilers, by the way, for the new Kaladesh set. So if you don't want to hear that, you might want to just skip forward or just end the podcast. We're probably at the end, anyways. Anyway, one of my favorite lands is what's called these fast lands. And without getting into too much detail, they're just essentially lands that tap for 2 colors, and certain criteria has to be met to use them. Anyways, they're some of my favorite lands, and they only existed in friendly color pairings, so there were only 5 of them. Well, literally, I recorded that episode, and I think the next day, Wizards spoiled the enemy colored other 5 that we had yet to get. So I end the podcast. I'm like, the enemy colors don't exist, guys, and it kind of upsets me, but I'm sure we'll get them. And then the next day, they spoiled that they were getting them.
Boom.
Thought it was really funny.
It's like they
Oh.
listen to the podcast or something.
Well, considering this set was finished almost a year ago, yeah, totally.
I mean,
Well, it wasn't. 16 months ago, design handed it to development, and development tweaked the card, so it's been a while. But yeah, totally. They got the idea from me. You know it. All right. Anyways, you can head to facebook.com/frantic talks, all in one word. You can see us post our. We'll just post the articles typically there, but it's been a while since we posted there. iTunes, search for Frantic Talks, you'll find us, or you can click on a podcast on the Frantic Talks website, and you can click the little badge that says "Find us on iTunes." Scroll down a little further, you'll see that we upload the video version of this to YouTube, where you can click on the link and go subscribe. No official URL yet. We need 100 subscribers. And lastly, if you don't want to click on a YouTube video and actually want to watch this live, every Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/FranticJ3 the third. That is Frantic J, the number 3, the number 3, RD. Because some asshole took Frantic J3. It's just going to get progressively worse the more I think about it.
Yeah.
And I think
You
that
really
sums
should
it
go
up.
reserve Frantic Talks like right after you're done here.
I know, I feel like I should. So.
Because that same guy that took Frantic J3 is probably
he's probably
this.
listening. It's like stalking me, like, ooh, where's he going next? I gotta go take that. Vine?
I mean, probably not.
I don't have a Vine. I never will.
The
All right,
hit
anyways.
sounds better.
All right, guys. So, like I said, hit us up on Twitter. Let us know your favorite ways to play games. I hope you're inspired to go do some dumb shit in your next game, because I really am. And I think that about wraps it up for me. Got anything else?
No.
All right.
Just, I want more dice. That's all I want.
Of course you do.
I'm addicted to those things. And it's all your fault.
Yep.
Kind of. All your fault.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We will see you next Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Hope to talk to you then. I'm Frantic.
I'm Grunt.
And we'll see you guys next time.